Another way that my father treated me like an adult, i.e. I acted like an adult, we just had one of our employee sons go off to the military here, Monday. Went off to the Royal Navy. And there's a lot of preparation, a lot more preparation when you go into the armed services now than when I went in. Okay, and Kim, and you know her here at the castle, talked to him for the first time. I guess it was yesterday. Now, and how was he doing? And you know, they send you a video: how to pack your clothes, how to dress, how to make the bed when you're in the barracks, how to brush your fucking teeth. It's quite remarkable. When I went into the military, the barracks I was in had 200 people, 200. And they were triple bunks, 200. Lights were out at 10 o'clock, and by 11:30, 12 o'clock, you heard people crying. We have a new puppy in the house. Sounded like our new puppy crying. By 1 or 2 in the morning, you had a lot of people crying. And by 3 or 4 in the morning, because they wake you up at 5, you had people crying and saying, "Mama, I want my mama." Now, this was in 1966. I asked Kim about her son, Drew, good kid. I've known him since he's maybe 3 or 4. How was it his first night or so? He's in a barracks with 8 people. 8. It's like a country club, or as Sally would say, it's in the fucking lap of luxury. You know, and now when you sign up to go in the military, you have an out clause, apparently, as I understand it, where you can get out if you don't like it. They pay you bonuses to stay longer. It's a different world. I'm proud that he's gone into the military, but it reminded me of me going into the military. The night before I went in the military, my dad, we went out to dinner, just my dad and I. And we went to, a steak place. And we were out, we have a few drinks. And then he said, well, let's go out and have some more drinks. And so I said, fine. He's driving, I'm not. And we go to a bar and we shoot pool. I didn't know my dad could shoot pool. And he was clearing the table time after time after time. And I said, well, fuck, he never told me this about his youth. So we're sitting at the bar. And this, again, is one of the things that's on the Dan Does It Extraordinary. The bartender comes down and puts 2 drinks in front of us. And he says, the lady down at the end of the bar would like to buy you both a drink. And my dad told her, send him back. Okay? About 10 or 20 minutes later, a slip of paper comes down. And the bartender hands it to my father. And my father folds it back up and puts it down, and then turns to me and said, the woman would like to borrow you for the night, son. So I'm 20. I'm twisted steel and panther piss. I'm eager, to say the least. So I didn't say anything, though, because if my father had said no, that would have been no. And he said, and I said, he asked me if I wanted to. I said, yeah. So then he turned to the left and told the woman yes. We finished our drink that she had bought us. And then I got in the car and I drove him home. I must have been doing like Le Mans speed. And I got back to the bar thinking, the gal's not going to be there for sure. This only happens in the movies. And she was there. We had a couple more drinks. I left with her. And then that next morning, I got home at 9 o'clock. I got home because I was supposed to be at the induction stations at 11:30 or 12. I got home about 9 to clean up, and my dad didn't say anything. Well, he's gone now. He never mentioned it to me. My mother wanted to know where I was, and she said, and I said, I bumped into somebody I knew, Mom. But that's how my father treated me. He treated me like an adult. And i.e., I was, in that way, I was mature beyond my years. I was way mature beyond my years. And that maturity and that military background that I had was the structure of the beginning of QLA. It was the structure of the beginning of the QLA. And in the 90s, we took no prisoners in the 90s. and I've often said, with no qualifications or reservations, the QLA kids that started in 1993 were significantly tougher than the current batch of the last 5 or 10 years. And I coined the phrase snowflake. And I was amused when a few months ago a company called Snowflake went public. And when I say snowflake, I mean you melt under pressure. You melt under pressure. I've said for at least 25 years, QLA is for the 0.00001% of the population. If there's 7.5 billion people in the world, it's for about 750,000 people. That's it. But because it's emotionally tough as shit. It's emotionally tough as shit. And part of the QLA is based on the fact that I went as a private, an enlisted man. I volunteered for the draft in June of 1966, and I came out of first lieutenant. I went to OCS. At that time, I went to infantry OCS. The average lifespan of an infantry platoon lieutenant, platoon leader, was about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. I was gung-ho. I was a gung-ho son of a bitch. Gung-ho meaning, energetic, and I wanted to do it. So the metaphor of the kids coming here, pretty raw, pretty soft for the most part. Occasionally we get somebody that's not soft. But, and then we man them up. Subsequent to the article in the LA Times, a local TV station in Los Angeles, I believe it's called Spectrum Television, had a little 6 or 7 minute piece on me and highlighted the article and interviewed the author of the LA Times article, Lewis, and talked about when you hear it on television, it makes it sound like I had it worse than I did. But you get things that happened 30, 40, 50 years ago, for those of you that are going to get that old, will never be as bad, as you get to be an old person. That's why your grandparents, for the most part, don't have anything to say bad, because they're trying to only remember the good parts of their life. The two kids that I alluded to, the Hall of Famers, the new Hall of Famers, weren't any different than anybody else. They followed the program as I've outlined so far. Neither one of them was in the military. One of them is an ex-cop, the actual sheriff, but they were used to working hard hours. They came from the hood of their respective cities. They weren't used to taking vacations. I've told you that one of the reasons that I have such a hard work ethic, a strong work ethic, is I've never saw my dad take a day off. Never. And when he retired from the LAPD after 28 years, he got a check for all the overtime, because overtime used to be cumulative back in those days. And I think the check was, $40,000, $50,000, which was a lot of money back in the early 70s when he retired. I tell, and again, the seminar is based on, I'm trying to build a model for you that's regret minimization. I didn't know Jeff Bezos said the same thing. He patterned his life, at least after, what am I going to regret when I'm 80? This is with 25, 30 years ago. As you've heard me say, my 3 biggest regrets are: 1, I'm a combat-trained Army officer that never saw combat. Number 2, I told my mother when she was living here, Mom, you're not sick. You're not going to fucking die. The next morning, she's dead. I'd like to have that one back. And the 3rd regret I have is that I didn't set my goals high enough. Well, that's the basis by which we train the kids at the seminar. But that's also the basis of all the free material on the website. All the free material. Virtually everything that I've been saying in this QLA Godfather series is what's on the website, but I'm connecting the dots for you. I'm letting you know why some of the things are there. Because for some of you that have never been spanked or never been yelled at, never been disciplined, some of this, or maybe all of it, is going to seem very, very strange. Strange for you. It's strange isn't even the word. It's going to be like crazy for you. So the more I can relate, the better that you can use my free material. Now, we just went over 1 million views of your first 100 million online. I've told people countless times that the best bang for buck, and it's all free, is your first 100 million digitally. We just went over 1 million recently. So that means 1 million people have downloaded it. And the good part about the download version is a couple years ago, I updated it by author's note. What's changed since the last time we renewed it or had the second edition. So it's up to date. I'm all, in addition to on our site, we have the book in Russian and we have the book in Romanian. I'm also happy to say we're sooner than later going to have it in 2 other foreign languages. And we're negotiating, if that's the right word, with the publishers right now. But they should come out, hopefully sometime later this year. So, though I went through a rough time, and one of my biggest regrets is I didn't lead men in combat. I found ways, and the seminar reflects this. I found ways to try to scare myself. And one of the points of the seminar and part of the weekly reports, what did you do to scare yourself today? And we've had some kids do some really crazy shit to scare themselves. And we have a lot of kids that just fluff it off and don't think it's important. Well, it is important because what you're trying to do is you're trying to expand your comfort zone. So ultimately, virtually nothing scares you. As many people know, I was a big game hunter for many years all over the world. And then about 30 years ago, I gave up hunting. And there's a picture on social media of me with a rifle standing about 50, 60 meters away from a bull buffalo in Australia. And I just couldn't shoot it. That was the beginning of the end of my hunting career. I looked at it and I couldn't shoot it. A whole other story is how I got out of that situation because he's charging. And I could write a book about how the porters were holding the camera. And I had to scurry up a goddamn trees. And it's a lot easier when you're a little, not being racist, a little Aborigine or a little black guy get up a tree. You don't, if you weighed 80, 90, 100 pounds, you don't need much of a tree to climb up. But I had trouble finding a tree that would support my weight when I'm trying to get out of the way. But I went from hunting with a rifle to hunting with a pistol to hunting with a pistol and a knife in the end because I was looking for adrenaline rush and all trying to feel that need that I didn't lead guys in combat. Okay, I finally got over that, but I was pretty old by the time I got over it. And because I didn't want to have any regrets about being in scary situations. One of the most scary situation that I've ever been in, that's business, hunting, fights, whatever, was on a hunting trip in Africa. There was a big male lion that was running havoc through the villages and killing people and tearing the shit out of everything. And we happened to get there at the right time, be in the right place. And so the village, like in the movies, beaters, they were beating with sticks in one part of the jungle to drive it to the other part of the jungle to an opening. It was a small opening, and they set me up in an anthill, an abandoned anthill that was about 8 or 9 feet high, and we knocked the top of the anthill out, and I sat in the anthill, no ants. They'd be a better story if there were ants, but there weren't no ants. And where they were going to beat the male lion, beating the bushes to drive it towards me into the opening. And in theory, when he got about 20, 25 meters from me, I'd have at least one shot. Now, I would be less than honest if I didn't tell you I was scared shitless in that anthill. And for about 30, 35 minutes, I heard all this motion of the natives beating and screaming and in their native language. But the lion turned the other way, and he never came out. But I was scared. There's no question about it, because I was only going to get one shot. Well, QLA, for most people that come here, is your one and only shot, because you've tried everything else known to man. You've tried all the other guys and gals that tell you it's easy. You've tried all the other products that are supposed to make it easy, and you know it's not easy.